Well, good evening, folks. It's 7:05. We'll get started now. Like I said, I like to be punctual as possible. My name is Pedro Valdez. I'm the interim principal of Teaneck High School. I will go ahead and share my screen with you and introduce everybody that's with us today. Hopefully, like I said, we will answer some of your questions, some of your concerns, as well as give you the information that you're probably yearning for. So I will share my video now and we will get started. Okay, you can see it. Well, again, good evening. Welcome to my first town hall meeting as the principal of Teaneck High School, the interim principal of Teaneck High School. I would like to welcome you to the first town hall meeting with me as the facilitator. With that, I'll give you a little background information about myself in terms of just an introduction of who I am and where I come from. Once again, my name is Pedro H. Valdez. I am a Teaneck High School alumni. I graduated from here in 1992. My trajectory through Teaneck Public Schools was Washington Irving, then Bryan School, then Longfellow School, then Hawthorne School, then TJ, and eventually Teaneck High School. I received a Bachelor of Arts from Morehouse College of the class of 1996, a Master's in Educational Leadership from Jersey City University. I taught history. I was a testing coordinator, whole school reform facilitator. I was an assistant principal at John F. Kennedy High School, later the principal of the School of Architecture, Construction, Trades. Before I returned to Teaneck as an assistant principal here at the high school for 4 years, and now I'm leaving Whittier Elementary School where I served as a principal for 4 years. So I am Teaneck through and through. This is my 25th year in education, which I'm partaking, or we're embarking upon. I can't believe it's 25 years, but that's a little snapshot of myself and where I come from. With me tonight is Ms. Todman Mack. She will be the assistant principal for grades 10 and 12. Mr. Justin O'Neill, who was newly appointed as the additional assistant principal, will be the assistant principal for grades 9 and 11. Joining us this evening, like I said, not only is myself and Ms. Mack, but Mr. David Murphy, supervisor of physical education, health, and as well as the athletic director, and Ms. Keisha Golden Cooper, who is the director of guidance, career services, and vocational education. Behind the screen or behind the scenes is Mr. Mohammed Saleh, who is a director of technology that really keeps this all together. So thank you very much. This year, there has been a little shuffle in terms of deans. Ms. Olivia Batantis, who is returning to us after maternity leave, welcome, baby Batantis, will be taking over grade 9. Ms. Susie Cipriano, who served in her absence, will stay with grade 10. Mr. Gregory Cooper will again stay with grade 11, and Ms. Natasha Green, who just assisted with the virtual graduation, will remain with grade 12. Mr. Charles Clark, who is responsible for character education and in-school suspension, will remain or return in that capacity as well. A few important dates. I know there's a lot of questions. This Friday, the 9th grade orientation will commence. You should have received some information this morning. There was 2 emails, one email sent to mom and dad or your guardian, as well as the students. That same day in the evening, there will be parent community learning opportunities. 5 p.m. is a Google Meet, Google Drive, and Gmail will be covered. Excuse me. 6 p.m. Google Classroom, Google Docs, and Google Slides. The information is available on the website. I do and I will continue to send emails every Friday, approximately about 3 p.m. So just look for that email. I will have all this information and dates and important dates just to keep the parents in the loop of what is up and coming. Additional important dates, September 1st is obviously the first day for staff. We will be commencing or participating in full day professional development opportunities for the staff, just to better prepare for what's up and coming in terms of virtual. September 8th is the first day for students. That week, the 8th through the 11th, will all be half days with the teachers participating in afternoon professional development opportunities to increase their knowledge base. September 14th will be a full day for staff and students, and textbook distribution. That information will be up and coming. We most likely will commence that next week, but again, look for my email, my informational email every Friday, and I will share with you all the ins and outs. This is probably what everybody's waiting for, is the schedule for the high school in terms of what virtual learning will look like. Monday and Wednesday will be periods 1 through 4. The virtual learning will begin at 8:15, promptly at 8:15. There is 70 minutes in each class period. The teachers will work in a 10-minute brain break. So either 5 and 5 or 10 minutes, but those brain breaks will be structured. Therefore, the students know when they are off and then when they're back on. There'll be a lunch break every day at 12:45, where they will return in the afternoon for one more session from 12:50 to 2 p.m. The day will commence at 2 o'clock. The teachers will be available from 2 to 3 p.m. to answer whatever questions they may have or the students may have with the day's lessons or any questions that they have moving forward. That will be daily, every afternoon. It could be through Google Meets, it could be through email, it could be through phone conversation as well. So that will be the office hours times. 3 to 3:25 is also set aside for teachers to pull students that may need a little bit more attention, or groups of students that may be in need of a little more assistance. So that will be that time slotted for them. 3:25 to 4:25 will be slotted for club activities or club meetings, and we'll get into more information about that. This information as well will be emailed to you, so do not worry. Every Friday will be a half a day. Every period will meet. That is a little bit of a change. They will meet for 30 minutes on a Friday. The teachers may use this as an assessment period. They may use this as a teaser for the next week. They may use it as a wrap up for this current week. Pardon me. I'm sorry. The day will end at 12:30, and the afternoon teachers will once again participate in professional development opportunities, departmental meetings, as well as an additional time that if students are in need of extra assistance, interventions, or groups of students, they can use that time accordingly. Now, some of the expectations moving forward in terms of this learning model. I know that we used it and we tried our best in the spring. Teachers and students, I don't call it homeschooling, I call it emergency pandemic teaching. It was nothing like we saw before, and it was nothing like we hopefully will ever see again. You know, we are a little bit better prepared, so the structure will change now. And with that, the teachers are going to be expected to go live and teach live synchronous learning every day for that 70-minute period. So you will have a teacher on the other side of the camera in terms of teaching that lesson actively and participating with your youngsters. That is something different from the spring. Attendance and daily participation will be required. We'll get into that in a moment. But with that comes some expectations, some barriers that we need to make sure that we communicate with you. Videos are solely for the purpose, educational use of the Teaneck Public Schools families. You must refrain from taking screenshots, recording, or sharing class videos. Snapshots and recorded videos of lessons are prohibited. All lessons are exclusive to the members of the classroom. So therefore, the lessons in the video are just for the students in the classroom. We should not be recording. We should not be taking pictures. Again, it's because of the privacy of the other students in the class that we must guard. I'm going to ask Ms. Mack to assist me with the virtual expectations for the students. Ms. Mack?
Good evening, everyone. Can you hear me? Mr. Valdez, can they hear me?
Yes, they can.
Okay, perfect. So good evening, everybody. My name is Mrs. Mack, and I am the assistant principal this year for grades 10 and 12. This is the start of my 10th year at Teaneck High School. I spent 6 years teaching social studies and the past 3 years as assistant principal. So many of our student expectations for virtual learning set the same standards for student expectations as we have in the building. We feel that it is prudent to share with you all, the parents and guardians, the expectations we will share with our students, your children. We are asking for the homeschool connection to start here and ask that you have a conversation or multiple conversations from now until the first day of school and throughout school with your children about these expectations. Let's get started. So the first expectation, and I would say the most important one, is to be on time. Just as in the brick and mortar building, lateness disrupts learning and students do not hear pertinent information that is shared at the start of class. Secondly, during synchronous, and I'm sure as parents and guardians, you've heard the term synchronous and asynchronous. Synchronous means live instruction. Students' cameras are expected to be on. During the spring, and I have been told by some of our teachers that taught Summer Bridge, our students a lot of times did not have their cameras on, and we do recognize that this new virtual world is different for all of us. But the expectation is that a student does show their face, and also parents and guardians, if there's a reason why your student does not want to show their face, we would like you to communicate that with us so we can make different accommodations for the student. Students are to use their real names, not nicknames, not aliases, not jokes. Using your real name enables the teachers and their peers, their classmates, to know who the student is. Attire. Now this is important, this is a big one. Students are supposed to be wearing appropriate attire. So no pajamas, no inappropriate attire, just as if we were in the brick and mortar building. Location, another very important aspect to virtual learning. This is key. Choose a good location in your home for virtual learning. There should be no distractions and should not have anything in the background. Just a little caveat here, my daughters who were in 4th grade and 5th grade last year, not in Teaneck, but in another school, they went live and had live synchronous instruction from the start of virtual learning last spring. I can tell you that their teachers and my daughters sometimes did complain of their peers having distractions in the background, noise in the background. So it is actually a disrupting thing to not only your child, but the other students and the teacher in the classroom, the virtual classroom. Students are expected to participate and complete all online, live work and offline assignments. This is key. Students need to be active learners while in class and provide for focused attention. Again, we understand that this is new and it's hard. It's even hard for adults, but we are asking that your child or your children really be focused and pay attention throughout their live sessions. When in virtual breakout rooms, when teachers employ that, students are expected to be on task on the assignment or the multiple assignments the teacher assigns in the breakout room. Students are encouraged, as always, but even more in the virtual setting, to ask lots of questions. Again, this is new for us. We always encourage our students to ask questions, but I can guarantee if your child or children has a question, I'm sure their peers do as well. All tasks and assignments should be completed on time, just like in the brick and mortar building. Passwords. Passwords for Google Classrooms and other programs that are employed by our teachers cannot be shared with other peers outside of their assigned group. Or if the teacher blatantly says, this is your specific password, it cannot even be shared with your peer, passwords are not to be shared. Life happens. If a student is unable to be present for class, perhaps they have a doctor's appointment, perhaps something else is going on, they should communicate via email to their teacher or teachers. It is important and imperative that that communication piece is there. We want to make sure that your child stays connected in their class. Students, yes, thank you. Students should note their teacher's contact information and office hours, as well as their grade level dean's contact information, their school counselor contact information, and their grade level AP's contact information. This will be the circle that will be helping your child navigate this virtual learning world. If a student sees or hears something inappropriate happening in the virtual classroom, they should send a private chat message or email to their teacher as soon as they see that unfortunate or inappropriate behavior. If a student has to attend to something other than class for a few minutes, for a second, the expectation is while in live instruction, they should turn off their camera and turn off their audio. Again, going back to speaking about the distractions, believe it or not, when I sometimes was guilty of it, I came downstairs and started talking to my daughter. She was in 5th grade and she raised her hand like, I'm in class, you're bothering me. Her peers heard that. So just being very cognizant of it, not only as the student, but the people who live in the home as well. And again, we want to stress, this is a partnership. So if a student cannot attend class, again, it's imperative that they send a communication to the teacher, or if not, their school counselor. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Mack. And with that, there are some hints or strategies that we ask the parents to assist us with. And like Ms. Mack said, that we are partners in education, and these will all, if we are shoulder to shoulder in this process, we can definitely ensure that our students are going to achieve. So with that, first and foremost, please check Skyward and ensure that all the contact information is correct. Right now, the teachers will be contacting not only the students, but you, if there is any issues or concerns or even celebrations. So make sure that your email address and your contact information, especially your phone number, are correct. We ask you that you check emails and voicemails on a regular basis. The teachers may be trying to contact you out of concern or again, out of celebration. So therefore we need to make sure that you check those on a regular basis. If your child's going to be absent, like Ms. Mack just alluded to, please communicate that with the school secretary. And if it's an extenuating circumstance, please by the next day, communicate that as well. What we're trying to do, or what we're charged with, is trying to make the brick and mortar, we're trying to keep this learning experience as close to brick and mortar as possible. So a lot of the accountabilities and expectations that we have, we're just changing them a bit and making them virtual. Recognize that our educators are available for support to not only their students, but to you as families. So reach out to the school officials for whatever help that we may need. I will share my contact information as well as Ms. Mack and Mr. O'Neill's. We are available on the school website, and Mr. Murphy and Ms. Cooper as well. So if there's anything that you may need or you need assistance with, we are here to help. Again, you know, the way I look at my management style, my administrative style, is I'm an appendage. My job is to make the teacher's job easier, to ensure that they are successful, and with that, your children will be learning. And with that, my job is to also support you and make sure that you're being heard and you're assisting in the educational process. Create and maintain an environment conducive to online learning. Again, quiet, comfortable. If the student knows that there is a workspace, that this is where I go to on a daily basis, and this is my area where I'm going to go to school, it's a little bit easier for them to sort of flip that switch and get that into that thinking space that's necessary. We have to avoid any distracting elements as much as possible. As students will participate in whole and small group sessions, I'm going to ensure that there is no TVs on, radios going on. We have to just minimize the distractions as much as possible. It's difficult as just in terms of the circumstance and the situation to ensure that the students are engaged. So with your assistance and making sure that the workspace is quiet and ready to learn, we can improve an engagement. Understand and respect that only voices and images that should be present on screen during instructional sessions are those of the students in the class. Like Ms. Mack alluded to, if there's stuff going on in the background, I know there is some things that we can't control. Perhaps a dog runs by or somebody forgets that you're online. But at the same time, the more that we can minimize those, the better learning environment it is for everybody. Parents and others who are present change the dynamic of the classroom experience, and their presence also violates students' rights to privacy. So you may want to just sort of peek and see what your child is doing, but at the same time, there are other students in the classroom. So if you can refrain from that as much as you can, and it's also a distraction for everybody in the class, including the teacher, if you would just want to say hi. So the students may be distracted, and then the teacher has the responsibility to make sure that they're engaged once again. And most importantly, just be an active participant in your child's education. Ask them how their day was. What homework assignments do they have? Did they learn anything special? You know, at times I have experiences from grades K through 12 as an administrator and a teacher. And at times we sort of unplug and forget that the high school years are as important as early elementary years. So just because they're in their teens doesn't mean that they're on their own. Please actively participate in their child's education. And to answer some of the questions that I received, not only from the students that I've met to date, but some of the parents as well, we are looking at the list, or reviewing the list of after-school clubs, and we're trying to identify the clubs with the biggest footprint to ensure that they can continue operating virtually. We know that this is a social connection. This will allow the students to engage differently outside of the classroom. So we will take those clubs and activities very, very seriously and see what we can support. There is time in the schedule, like I went over, to ensure that students and teachers have the ability to meet in clubs. The PSATs and the SATs, I know the last SAT was canceled again. We're evaluating our ability to offer the standardized test exams in a safe and socially distant manner. There are ideas of using some of the larger spaces in the building to allow for socially distant standardized tests. Once we have that decision made or that information is made available, like anything else, I will definitely share it with you as soon as possible. Community service hours is a graduation requirement, but what we're going to do presently is we're going to put that on pause until further notice. We don't want to actually subjugate our students to going out and looking for community service hours because of the fear of graduating. However, those students that do perform some community service hours in a safe way will be recognized for their abilities. So what that means is I know we're going to have opportunities for students to tutor one another and various programs like that, even some mentoring opportunities. So if they are participating in those opportunities, not only will that be expressed to you or shared with you, but they will be recognized for those efforts. Here's our contact information. Again, I will share this information with you. It's all available online, but as well, just in case, I'll give you a few moments with that. No, we'll stop this screen. Alrighty, so I'll take this opportunity to answer whatever questions. Between myself and this panel here, we'll hopefully answer all your questions. And just to give you additional little background information, I know that this isn't an ideal situation for any of the students. You know, some of us are happy that we did go virtual, and some of us it's a hardship, and it's difficult to understand. My daughter is a senior in high school, or a coming senior, and this is not the way she envisioned going into her senior year. Her sports season is in question. She plays soccer, so I myself am feeling the pain firsthand of what this looks like, and what this not new reality, because it's a new reality, but it's not a new normal. We'll stay away from that word of new normal, because it's not normal on any account. So with that, I'll see if we can answer some questions. The first question is, when the COVID vaccine becomes available, will it be mandatory for students to get it? Ms. Boylan Gray, at that point, currently I do not know. I'm not sure if it will be added to the list. That will be probably a state and district decision. So I cannot honestly answer that because we haven't had that conversation as of yet. I'm sorry. Can you please go over the 18 to 21-year-old program for special needs students? It will be a town hall meeting and meet the teacher opportunity for the 18 to 21-year-old program. I know it was pushed back a little bit after the virtual model came out, so just look for a communication from Erica Cirilli Levine, who's the director of that program, as well as Shelly Ann Miranda. I know that they will have the details that you're looking for. I don't want to misspeak in terms of what that program is going to look like, because with everything else, it's evolved a little bit. But if you haven't heard in the near future what that meeting will look like, please contact me directly, and I will share that information with you. Incoming freshman parent is asking what a teacher dean is. Ms. Mack, I'll put you to work. You want to answer that? I can answer it, but.
Sure. So teacher deans are individuals like myself, the vice principals and the school counselors that actually stay with the students for the breadth of their years at Teaneck High School. So a teacher dean, I guess you can call it the home base, the catch-all. Their main job is to deal with attendance. And believe it or not, attendance is the window to everything, not just at Teaneck High School, but all high schools and middle schools. So they are the contact person, along with, as Mr. Valdez said, our attendance secretary, that a parent or a student will talk to about missing a class or being out for an extended period of time. The teacher dean also works hand in hand with the grade level vice principal to not only, and I don't want to speak in the negative, number one, come up with positives for the class, but at times also is the first level of discipline as well. So like I said, and I don't think we stated this earlier, the assistant principals and the school counselors stay with the student from 9th grade to 12th grade. And that's a great system that I find that we have at Teaneck High School, and the teacher dean stays as well. So by the time a student is a senior, and if they started their freshman year, the teacher dean not only knows the parent, guardian, they know everything about the family, every life circumstance, because again, they are that home base for us.
Thank you, Ms. Mack. The next question is, will the virtual class size be as normal or smaller cohorts? I know the answer, but Ms. Cooper, it looks like you're chomping at the bit to get involved, so I'll give that to you as well.
Thank you, Mr. Valdez. So good evening, everyone. Thank you for asking that question. So the class sizes will remain the same. So when we do, and I always say when we are able to pivot to come back to the Castle on Hill physically, you will remain with your same class and the same class size, as well as following the same schedule. I know there was questions about even schedules that are coming in. We are still working it through. So yeah, to answer that initial question, the class size will remain the same, as well as the teacher.
Thank you. Ideally, like Ms. Cooper said, we try to keep it as normal and as similar to the brick and mortar as possible. So when we do have to make that pivot, or when we can make that pivot, we're back seamlessly. Will this presentation be provided? Lots of information to remember. I want to discuss it with my daughter. I can provide the presentation, but I will also share all the information. It might not be in the same PowerPoint, but trust me that all that information is coming, from schedules to student expectations to parent expectations. We will also have, not only in addition to the freshman orientation this week, the first or second week of school, we will have class meetings where the assistant principals, as well with the deans, will explain all the expectations and rules and regulations to be successful in this process. If I have to use the bathroom, do I have to ask? Ideally, I think the teachers will. That's a very good question. I think the teachers will share that information with you. I think if you disappear for a few moments, you're fine. But I'm sure that with the protocols that the teachers put in place, they will explain that to you. I don't want you to feel embarrassed that you have to tell everybody or make it known that you have to use the bathroom. Great question. Will there be 0 periods for AP classes? Ms. Cooper?
So yes, again, whatever your schedule would be, if we were in brick and mortar in the high school, it will be the same. So if your schedule calls for 0 period, there's also a 0 period for other classes. It will remain the same.
Thank you. What is your plan B if the internet service or remote service, Google Classroom, etc., has a blackout? Once again, not only are there going to be expectations or procedures for the school, the teachers will, like any other classroom, will have their own expectations and procedures. So if there is a blackout, if there is somebody gets kicked off, they'll explain to you specifically what to do in each class during that time. Just because even if the teacher has an internet malfunction, I don't want you to think that the class is over and it's time to go get some snacks. Every teacher will communicate specifically what to do when that happens. What about the children with special education? Again, the special education program will be tried to be as seamless as possible. Again, there'll be a special education meeting forthcoming. I believe if it's not this week, it's next week. Like I said, they had to be postponed. So Ms. Sorelli Levine and Ms. Shelly Ann Miranda, as well as Ms. Davis, will be able to talk to specifics about the special education program. Our teachers going to be working. Question is, are teachers going to be working from the high school or from home? Right now, that is not definitive. Teachers may be afforded the opportunity to come in from time to time on a rotating schedule to make sure that we ensure distancing. I know some content areas are really wishing to come in, specifically science, because if they have to perform a lab with their lesson, it's easier to do it in a lab here. But there's hasn't been any general decisions in terms of all teachers coming in or not. So hopefully that answers your question. Great question. Will the teaching be on Zoom or in another platform? Currently, the only platform that we will support is Google Classroom. If it's the interface with the content and where teachers can grade and store the work is seamless. Google Classroom is actually in the midst of mirroring a lot of the opportunities or functions that Zoom has. So hopefully by October, they have the ability for virtual backgrounds, breakout rooms, raising your hands, emojis, very similar to Zoom. So between that September and October period, it will be the current system of Google Meet. But hopefully by October, if everything works out, it will be very similar to Zoom. How will 0 periods work? Again, you want to touch that?
I can add something too. I would say it would work the same way it will in the building, in the sense of the teacher will be making communication with the class to say, okay, we're going to meet either during my office hour time or possibly before school starts, the traditional 0 period on these days. So it's going to work the same way. They will make the plans with the class and communicate that.
And with the option is also working before that 8:15 start. Just keep that in mind. It's 0 period. Elmer Myers, great question. What is going to be the role of peer leaders in the virtual environment? We're actually still working that out. I know many of you or a few of you are going to be charged into duty on Friday for the freshman orientation. But we're going to identify a way to ensure that that program is supported and it continues, especially in this virtual environment. What that is specifically is going to look like, we don't know yet, but trust me, we know the value of it. And just to give you the heads up, Mr. Myers, Elmer Myers, I was a group of the first peer leaders. So I was one of the first peer leaders ever at Teaneck High School. So congratulations. What clubs are going to keep going? Again, we're going to look at the ones and then propose a list to the central office and see which clubs we can maintain. What he said in his, Dr. Irving shared in his town hall meetings was that he was looking at clubs with the biggest footprint, meaning the most number of students involved, so we can continue with those. So that list hasn't been finalized to date. Will this information be available online for anyone who missed all or a portion of it? We will make all the information available. Like I said, it may not be in the same capacity as a PowerPoint, but we will definitely share that information. I mentioned clubs, but what about sports? I knew it was coming, Mr. Murphy. Here you are, sir. Welcome.
Thank you. So we are just constantly evaluating what is happening across the state, what's coming from the NJSIAA, and looking to make the best decision possible with the safety in mind of all of our student athletes. So it's a ever-evolving conversation, and as things evolve, we will have more clear answers for you. We'll make sure that we get that information out to all of our families as it evolves.
Thank you, sir. Any idea whether or not school will open for the school year? Again, very similar to what Mr. Murphy just said. It's ever evolving. They are going to look at the situation and what's going on health-wise in October and make a decision for the second semester. So again, you know, it's not a wait and see. It's assessment in October to see where we are health-wise. Can I please show the contact information again? I will show the contact at the end. I'm afraid if I share my screen again, then I'm going to lose the question. So just bear with me. Once again, if you can't wait till the end, all that information is available on the high school webpage as well, but I'll share it again. When will the students pick up textbooks? Very nice. We're actually in the midst of creating that schedule. We may hopefully start next week. But again, the first week of school will be more social emotional learning. Not necessarily needing the textbooks. The C&I or Curriculum and Instruction Department is looking to see how many textbooks we actually can get electronically. Therefore, there may not be a need for textbooks, but you would get that communication. What we're looking at now is you would come in to the small gym, socially distant, grouped by alphabet, by grade, and you would literally pick the books necessary for, or be given the books necessary for your schedule and your class assignments. All right. Is Teaneck going to have cross-county and winter track season?
Again, that's just an ever-evolving conversation. You know, as we look at what's going on again across the state, what's happening with different districts, what's happening at state level, that will inform what we are able to do and not do.
Thank you, sir. What is the criteria for schools to reopen in-person learning after marking period 1? Right now, it is a decision by the board and as well as Dr. Irving. I think depending on the scenario in terms of the health and safety and what's going on with the pandemic, that's definitely going to be the decision maker. So I couldn't say what the criteria is right now, and if you're looking for percentages or whatever have you, but that not only will be a decision by the board and Dr. Irving with the climate at that time, but Governor Murphy as well, I'm sure. When will students receive their code to their classes? Great question. We're in the midst of creating something like a code catalog. So thank you. I don't know if you listened to Mr. Axelrod. He came up with the idea. So all the codes for all the classes will be in one central document. which we'll post online, we'll push out on the app, and we'll actually email it to you as well, so you can go through your schedule and identify which codes you need for your classes. Will there be a list of clubs that will be available virtually? Most certainly, we will share that with everybody. Is there a chance that there will be a basketball season in the spring, outdoors being a possibility? I didn't hear about that one. Mr. Murphy?
I did not hear about that as well. According to what the NJSIA still has scheduled, basketball would still be in the winter. They moved girls volleyball and girls gymnastics, which we don't have until early spring, and then the regular spring season would start a little later than normal. But I have not heard anything about basketball being moved to the spring or being moved outside.
Thank you, sir. What about tests and quizzes? How will they be administered if they do happen? Assessment will definitely happen and definitely will occur throughout the schedule or throughout your classes. I'm sure that many of the teachers will use Google Docs or Google Forms to administer those exams. You have the ability not only multiple choice, but short answer and essays as well through the Google platform. So those assessments will happen. How is orchestra band going to work? I know we were on an email, Ms. Newland, from Ms. Newland. Do you want to start that, either of you? You guys itching?
Well,
We have ideas.
I'm also the supervisor of band and chorus for the district, so I'll answer that one. So how's it going to work? It's going to be very different. We are actually looking into purchasing multiple programs. One is called Smart Music that some of our band and instrumental teachers used last spring, but it was on a free trial basis last spring. Now the district has to purchase it. We're going to be employing a lot of use of videos. The instrumental teachers recording themselves, the students recording themselves and sharing back to each other. Live sessions, which again, if you remember, if you were a student or a parent last spring, that was not a requirement last spring, but now it will be. So there will be live sessions. So it's going to look like that. It's going to be very different, but nonetheless, my and our music teachers have stepped up to the plate, and it will be great.
Thank you, Ms. Mack. Next question. My son signed up for SAT testing on November 7th at THS. Is that date being canceled? I hope not. That is not the idea. I know it's been very difficult. My daughter is 0 for 3 with her SAT tests. So I hope not. Again, we're going to just see if we can administer that in a safe environment, and that will be the ultimate decision. So that communication will be forthcoming. With some of the guidance counselors on vacation and not returning until September, how can students get help with missing classes in their schedule before that date? After students fill out the form, who will follow up before September to make sure the schedule is fixed before school starts? Ms. Cooper.
Hi, thank you for that. So the counselors are actually going to be back on September 1st. I've already been speaking with our Ms. Johnson in terms of allowing us to really take some time to work with the schedules to make sure that they're filled properly, and any classes that need to be addressed will be addressed. Doing it this way, actually, we're ahead of what had happened last year, where we were doing schedule changes the first 2 weeks of school. So I'm trying to be a little bit more proactive with the form. So we're gathering the information, and the counselors will be ready to get your student schedules all set starting September 1st. So they're ready for their first day of school. There will be some movement with the schedules, but September 8th, when they're ready to go, we'll be ready to go.
Great, thank you. A fellow parent is trying to get into the Zoom, but the link has already expired. Please advise. The man behind the curtain?
Please hold 1 second. The link should be active. It should still be running. I'm just going to test it real quick. Okay, give me 1 moment.
Thank you, sir. I guess in the interim, I can continue to answer some questions. When can Mrs. I'm sorry.
Sorry. The link looked like it is still live, so I was able to join from my cell phone. I would just ask maybe try another device or try to restart your device, and you should be able to join.
Thank you, sir. When can Ms. Cooper be contacted, or who to contact when the counselors don't reply?
So if you have not received a response from your counselors when we're all back September 1st, our counselors work 10 months. They all have summer days, but they're not 12-month employees, so they will be back September 1st. If for some reason you don't get a response within 24 hours, especially after a couple of days while they're going through their emails, you can always contact either myself or one of the grade level administrators if there's an issue that you're not feeling that's being resolved. We're here to help and support. That's our end game here, is to pitch in and all hands on deck. So if you need additional assistance, reach out to myself, one of the building administrators, and we'll do our best to help.
Thank you. Will textbooks be distributed, or will everything be online? Again, curriculum and instruction is looking into seeing how many books we can get virtually or electronic, but there will be hardcover books for some courses. So that information is forthcoming. Last year, the workload was a little overwhelming for students. Has that been discussed with teachers to keep it rigorous but not overwhelming? Yes, it has. I think there was a learning curve last year, as with everything, more so the circumstances that we were introduced to this. Teachers understand. I think that rhythm and the pacing will be a little bit different. The frequency of the classes will be different as well. I know the schedule was a big part of that. So I think that with the adjustments made, we will definitely address that. If the return to school comes faster than a parent is comfortable, will virtual option persist? Again, I would imagine so. I don't know what it will look like in October or November. That uncertainty is a little bit unnerving, but at the same time, I'm sure that will be addressed when that comes. Rachel Jones, who is Mr. O'Neill? Mr. O'Neill is the other assistant principal that was newly hired. He's actually finishing his contract, and he'll be joining us full-time next week. So you will definitely be able to meet him. Special Services Town Hall was last night. Okay, I'll make sure that please reach out to Erica Cirilli Levine or Ms. Shelley Ann Miranda to answer any of those questions that you may have. What time does zero period begin? Again, you would be communicated by that teacher. There will be some flexibility in the scheduling of zero period. We know that the stressors are large, and we don't want to really burden you too much. So we'll work with you in terms of scheduling that works for the teacher as well as the class. Will there be a specific form if you would like to opt out of showing your face? If not, who should we contact? Again, that communication will come from your parent to your guidance counselor, to the VP, in terms of why that's a must or that's necessary, and then we'll return that communication. All right. Can students still change their schedule?
Hi, yes, thank you. So the link for the schedule change request is on the high school website. My letter is also there. We will be accepting schedule changes in the same fashion or the same time frame as previous, which is the first 10 days of school. So I think that brings us to September 21st for schedule changes themselves. My strong suggestion is that if you see something on your schedule that was not what you anticipated, that is also especially with the elective courses, that was not your first, second, or third choice, because ultimately we started the scheduling process last spring where students were able to select their electives. The core courses are traditionally based on teacher recommendation in some instances, but again, the scheduling process, the sequencing from last spring remained the same. The scheduling request has changed to be more virtual. So if you have that situation and you are requesting a schedule change, just submit the form and the counselors will begin addressing those next week.
Thank you. How do we know office hours? Office hours are slotted from 2 to 3 every day. Their teachers will communicate their specific office hours or when they would like to meet with you specifically once you get into the class. How will community service be? Once again, community service is on pause. We can't subjugate you guys to going out and trying to find opportunities for community service. So as a graduation requirement, it is paused. However, if you do partake in some safe community service hours, you will be celebrated for that, but it's not mandated for graduation. Will the guidance counselors reach out to freshman students to discuss their schedules?
Yes, the counselors will also be hosting Google Meets or their how they would do normal group sessions. So those things will be forthcoming, especially since we have the Friday half days. So we're working around an opportunity for students to be able to be involved and get information from their counselors.
Thank you. Who is the freshman dean? The freshman dean is Miss Olivia Betances. You will meet her on Friday at the 9th grade orientation. Am I going to be the new principal? I am today. I hope so. On the long term, I do have interim in front of my name, but I plan on being here for a very long time. As we discuss sports, will there be some type of physical activity for students virtually? Mr. Murphy.
So, I mean, that will be, again, a decision of the board based on a lot of conversation that's going on. We are looking to make sure we have a lot of physical activity within our phys ed classes because we do know that is an integral part of, social emotional learning, as well as being physically fit, helping to, remain healthy. So, we will be doing that. And if there are opportunities for us to do some physical training, which would be board approved, then we will.
Thank you, sir. What will happen for those parents who choose the all virtual option for the entire school year prior to the county having to turn to all virtual? I still would like to have all virtual option despite whatever is decided upon the second semester. I understand that concern or that question. Again, that will be from central office. What would that would look like from this Board of Education as well as Dr. Irving, and I'm sure that there will be accommodations made for anybody that's in your scenario or your situation. I just can't speak to what that will specifically look like at this present time. How will testing going to be done this year in terms of SAT, PSAT, and PARCC? Again, we're going to try to do the best that we can to see if we can facilitate at least the SAT. The PSAT and the PARCC we're not certain about, but again, we have to address and ascertain if we can deliver that option in a safe environment. We're not sure about the state standardized testing, what that may look like. Again, that will come from the state level and the Board of Education. Do we need to make across the board decisions for all sports? Not all sports are high contact. Some fencing, tennis are inherently socially distanced. Can we think about treating them separately instead of a blanket decision?
Again, that ultimately becomes the Board of Education decision when they are deciding what to do with each season or what to do with each sport. That's conversation that we would have to have or would be had at the level of the upper administration.
Thank you, sir. Are upgrades to the ventilation ACs taking place in preparation for the return to in-school learning? Other safety measures in progress? Again, the conversation is to be had with facilities. From what I understand, there is testing continuing, and the ACs or the HEPA filters or whatever have you are being assessed. I think Melissa Simmons actually spoke to that in the board meeting as well. The specifics or the specificity behind what they're doing, I do not know offhand, but I can find that information and share it with you as well. Will cameras be required or at least strongly recommended during virtual class, at least in the beginning, for everyone to get to know each other, especially the freshmen? Cameras right now are required to be on for that full participation grade and actively participating, seated, ready to go, just like we were in a brick and mortar. How would students be handled emotionally? Ms. Cooper?
Thank you. So as Mr. Valdez mentioned, definitely the first week of school, we'll have a deep dive into SEL, or social emotional learning, which will be consistent throughout the year. In terms of providing support for our students, we do plan on running groups and being, that constant line of support. If your child has a specific need, or if you're noticing something's going on, please reach out to us. You can send an email to their counselor, their dean, the assistant principal, because oftentimes we don't know what's happening, especially not being able to, physically see them, even the hallways and things of that nature. So please let us know if there is something that you are experiencing. We're also, just looking into continuing providing support through the forum and any other avenues that I can explore.
Thank you. Is there a handbook for THS? I can answer that, but Ms. Mack, would you like to? You've fallen asleep there, so we'll get you going.
Sure. There is a handbook, a student handbook, that students will receive. Obviously, will be virtual. It will be posted to the Teaneck High School website. I believe it might be there now. I'm not sure. We are actually in the process of updating it because we actually want to ensure that we have our virtual policies in there and our expectations. But that will be posted to the website. And just so you know, we did not mention it in our tradition. Generally in Teaneck High School, we always have class meetings where the grade level assistant principal and class dean corral the class together. It's a very special moment, usually minimally 2 times a year, beginning of the year and at the start of when we come back from winter break. We will still be doing that. We did that last spring and it was a wonderful thing. And when you're talking about tapping into the social emotional learning aspect and just being together, it helped a lot. So one of the main things we do in the beginning class meeting is that the deans and the VPs go over in detail the student handbook with the students and with the class.
Thank you, Ms. Mack. What will physical education class be like?
So there will be, we're going to start the year with a focus on physical fitness activities. There will be a mix of live instruction from the teacher, live explanation about what they're doing, and some videos to follow along with to be able to get a workout at home. So we are starting out with fitness and fitness principles to be able to take advantage of physically moving, being physically active while at home.
Thank you. Will the district provide laptops for students who need it? The man behind the curtain, let's put you to work, sir.
Sure. So we're providing Chromebooks to any students who need it. We have a distribution going on this week every day from 8:30 a.m. to 11 a.m. We also have 2 evenings that we're doing a distribution. One of those evenings was today. The next distribution in the evening will be on Thursday from 4 p.m. to 7 p.m. You can come by, give us your name, and we will provide you with a Chromebook.
Alrighty. What about interactive classes like cooking or arts? How will they be conducted? Go ahead, you got it.
I jump in. I had a conversation with the supervisor of business, social studies and practical arts. Culinary falls under practical arts about this yesterday. Interactive videos will be employed for culinary arts. That supervisor, her name is Dr. Marisa King, was actually talking to me about purchasing software for interactive, live, yet again, interactive culinary sessions between the student, and the teacher. She also mentioned the possibility, again, it's not a mandate that our teachers come in, but if they are comfortable coming in, perhaps having a live feed from the classroom to the students. But again, that's at their comfort level.
Thank you. Will there be a back to school night for parents to meet teachers? Yes, there will definitely be a back to school night. It will most likely be virtual. And what that looks like will be determined, but you will definitely have the opportunity to meet your teachers. How does one obtain working papers for students? Ms. Cooper?
Yes. So if you reach out to Ms. Dockery, her email is kdockery, D-O-C-K-E-R-Y. Our information is also on the school counseling tab off of the high school page. She can assist you with getting your working papers.
Thank you very much. How many community service hours are needed to graduate? Again, those are on pause, so I wouldn't concern yourself with that at this present time. And administration sounds like a dynamic team this year, so happy, looking forward to a good year. Thank you. Thank you for the well wishes and the kind words. AP classes were the spring scores lower than usual due to the change of instruction. Will the AP test courses be adjusted to accommodate as such?
So College Board did release the AP scores, or some of them. We're still waiting for a full report to come through. And they did acknowledge that there were some glitches with continuing with the AP testing and the AP exams last spring. In terms of continuing on this year, we are at the really beckoning of the College Board and however they want to proceed. They have total jurisdiction over the APs, the sequencing, as well as the exams. So once we know, you will know. Your instructors have also been receiving updates from College Board on a consistent basis. You can also go onto College Board to receive updates as well.
Thank you. Between every class, will you ask the teachers to allow students to stand up and do some sort of physical activity? I only ask because sitting in place too long can impact the student's concentration. I know because I am doing user support and it could be taxing. Without a doubt, there's 5 minutes worked into travel time, we'll call it, in between periods, even though they're not traveling. So students will be able to get a quick 5-minute break. But like I said previously in the schedule, the teachers will be asked to provide a 10 minutes brain break throughout the 70-minute block. So they have the ability to break it up into 2 5s or 1 10-minute break. And the reason for that is, like you said, to promote some activity, to give them a chance to refocus, stretch their legs, but at the same time, I need it to be structured so that they know when their break starts and when their break ends. That's why it's done in such a manner. What will the after-school tutoring look like? Will this be peer-led or teacher-led? Is tutoring going to be available for high school students? How do we sign up for it? That's all being fleshed out, Amy. I know we are. I've had conversations about having both. I know Dr. Irving is heading up the teacher-led peer-led tutoring opportunities. I'm sorry. But we are actually looking at, as well as utilizing some of the National Honor Society, as well as peer leaders, as well as some students in just classes that have identified to be successful with opportunities to tutor classmates and other students. So there will be multiple layers of tutoring available. That sign-up form, or how do you do that, from the district-led will be communicated with you, I'm sure, from curriculum and instruction or central office. So just look for that. What about keeping the ventilation, including in cooler weather, to be as natural and therefore the safest? That is by keeping windows open as much as possible and the heat off and down as low as possible, even if that means the expectations or likelihood that students might likely want to be wearing a sweater or jacket at that time. Plus, this is so very much better ecologically to help save our planet in important ways, and would also be a big help cost-wise too. Thank you for really seriously considering this, which would ideally be the gold standard in all schools and businesses, etc., throughout the country. I hear your feedback, and I will definitely make sure that the powers that be hear that. So thank you for sharing that. To clarify, every student will not receive a Chromebook. I prefer to use my own. If you wish to use your own device, that's fine. There is a Chromebook available for every student in the district. Will the resource period be considered a free period? Will resource class be considered a free period, or will it be structured? It will definitely be structured. It is not a free period. There is a teacher assigned to it that will support your student and identify their needs and assist them with completing their work, or even some of the foundational skills necessary for them to be successful. My child's guidance counselor no longer works in Teaneck. Who do we reach out to for schedule change information? Ms. Cooper.
Yes, your student's counselor is located on the student information tab on Skyward Access. From there, you can identify who your student's school counselor is. In terms of the schedule change, again, the link is located on the high school's website, and that information is there. But again, all your students' information from their schedule is on one tab, and their school counselor information, as well as other pertinent information, is on the student info tab in Skyward Family Access.
Mr. Valdez, if I may, going back to resource, I just want to remind the students and parents and guardians that resource is a class that is graded and credit bearing. So it is essential that they do show up for resource. And I would tell you to just rethink resource in the virtual world. It's important that students are bringing a project, a homework assignment to virtual resource and using the teacher assigned to that class as help. That's what that is for, and that is what the students are due.
Thank you. If a student feels like they're behind of their class, what should they do? Or like being a senior but not knowing if they completed everything required or needed for college? First and foremost, make sure that you communicate with somebody. Ask the question from not only your guidance counselor, but your assistant principal, as well as myself, your dean. Make sure you communicate with somebody your questions. Don't be embarrassed, don't be shy. Ask those questions, and we can walk you through the process and make sure that you have what you need and you feel supported in any way. But the first line is just make sure that you communicate, because we can't know in terms of help that you may need if we don't know. So please feel free to communicate with anybody, and we'll make sure that you feel supported. Any possibility of having outdoor meetings like class orientation while the weather is nice, mask required? That was mentioned as an idea. However, just the difficulty of ensuring social distancing with the classes was a concern. And if we're not unable to guarantee the social distancing, we didn't want to promote that. But we'll definitely, I'll bring it up again and see if anything has changed, but that was the biggest concern. Will students be taking driver's ed online? No?
Yeah, yes, driver's ed is a class that will be taken during the second market period in its normal slot. So yeah, we will have the class.
It will be a virtual class. I don't know if they meant online as in without a teacher.
No, sorry. So it will be a virtual class taught by our health, phys ed, driver's ed teachers. Mr. McDonald and Mr. Shaw will be teaching this year.
How do students enroll in clubs? Once again, I'll make that list once the clubs are identified as being sustainable virtually. We'll share that list with everybody, and it will actually just be a matter of contacting the advisor over that club and gaining acceptance to that club. The schedule shows 2 different classes for the same period. For example, period 1 has biology and computer science.
That may be a common stance for a student that's enrolled in teams. The team schedule looks very different and unique. So you may have 2 classes in the same period, but once the teachers get their rosters, they then split them out and they will communicate with the students to inform them of what student is in which period. So again, it is common for, and actually it's quite okay for the students that are in teams. If there are any other conflicts and you're not in a student that's enrolled in the teams program, then please fill out the schedule change request.
Thank you. Question again is, do students have to show their faces? Right now, the expectation is to, yes, show your face. If there's an extenuating circumstances that you can't, please have your parent contact an administrator or dean. Can students take the test for driving in school or where to take it and not in school? This is more curriculum questions. We got rid of the driving aspect years ago.
So the written test, that's something that is still being worked out at the state level, much like the other state assessments is being worked out at the state level of how that will be administered, or if it will be administered.
Thank you. I just lost that one. Will there be any other virtual college webinars with different schools than the last one? The last one, Ms. Golden Cooper held was excellent, and it would be great to hear from additional colleges to help seniors figure out where to apply.
Hi, yes, absolutely. I've actually attended a lot of webinars this summer with my fellow directors and also communicating with college reps to see how they're functioning. The first session for seniors, I'm planning before the end of September to just kind of get them on track and ease some of their angst and answer a lot of questions. And of course, the session for parents. But we will be holding a variety of webinars for the different grade levels, but definitely a college webinar similar. Thank you. I'm glad you liked it. Similar to the one that I held last spring.
Thank you. Answer this question. Will there be any coordinating of homework assignments between teachers? I have concern that teachers may give homework assignments on the same day with the same due dates, and students may be overwhelmed prior to adapting. The teachers have been, communicated with in terms of rolling out a plan to be observant of everything that we've dealt with. So just again, communicate with your teachers. But again, we are mimicking the brick and mortar as much as possible. So if you have your A-day schedule or B-day schedule, your A-day for most parts 1 through 4 period will be Monday and Wednesday. B-day will be Tuesday and Thursday. So teachers on A-day more than one teacher may assign homework, definitely. That won't be due to Wednesday, and the same thing with Tuesday and Thursday. But just communicate with your teachers if you're having a difficult time. And if not them, your dean, as well as the VPs and myself. Can you clarify on the schedule? All students are done at 2. Office hours are for teachers. Office hours are for teachers and students. Students to have access to the teachers to ask any clarification questions that they may have from the lesson that day. So again, the teachers will be readily available from 2 to 3 o'clock to answer what, if any, questions from the students. Is it too late for any freshmen to get into Teams program? My daughter was supposed to attend a different school this fall. Would you like to answer that, Ms. Cooper?
Absolutely. If you send Mr. Rolando Montserrat an email, you can also send myself an email. We actually had a conversation yesterday and today. So just communicate with one of us or both of us, and we will reach back out to you.
Thank you. When we see that only summer assignments are AP classes, what about students that are not in AP classes? I think you spoke about that, Ms. Mack, right?
I think so, but I'll reiterate. So the summer assignments for the past few years have mostly been for our AP and some honors courses. If your class or course is not listed, that means there is no summer assignment.
Thank you. We are wondering if the bathrooms will be updated with hot water so students can wash their hands properly when they do return. From what I understand from the conversation that I've been part of, yes, the answer is yes, the bathrooms will be updated with hot water. I think they're just working on the temperature, if I'm correct. Are summer assignments graded? Yes, they are. When will summer assignments be due? Historically, it's when you return to school. But given the circumstances, I'm sure that you can have a conversation with your teachers if you wish. You could probably even email them now, and they may respond to. They should respond to you, or they will respond to you. Let's say we don't work when in class. Will we still be able to work? Oh, just lost stuff. Let's say we don't work in class. Will we still be able to switch out to a different class? I don't understand the question. Perhaps it's a question about changing the schedule due to academic misplacement. That's what I'm reading through the lines. I don't know if you touched upon that, Ms. Cooper.
No, actually I didn't. So academic misplacement is different where you have the opportunity. It's actually after 20 class meetings is academic misplacement. That's initiated by the teacher and or the student that a student, hypothetically speaking, may have registered for an AP course or an honors course. And after, those 20 days feel that the class is too difficult, and that's what's considered academic misplacement, which is different from what we're doing right now, a scheduled change. A scheduled change is still if you want to either, change your courses from one AP and level down to an honors, or you want to, request a schedule change, that can happen now. But if you have any specific questions about academic misplacement, please feel free to email your counselor, and they will start replying to emails again on the 1st.
Thank you. Are summer assignments mandatory? The information at the end of last year were that indicated they were optional. Go ahead, Ms. Mack, you can take that one.
They are mandatory. A lot of times, especially for our AP courses, in order to get through the curriculum, which again is a college curriculum, the teachers actually do have to assign the assignment. When I taught AP Hug, basically the students got a quarter through the first chapter of the course via the summer assignment. So yes, they are mandatory and they will be graded.
If you don't like a class, can you change your schedule?
So again, the schedules were based primarily on the selection that the students undertook in the spring. There are some rare times where there may be a class on your schedule, primarily an elective class on your schedule that you did not select in the spring. But if you go through the letter that I had sent out, and it's also on the website, it gives you the criteria to be able to change classes. Or request a schedule change. Every schedule change, unfortunately, is not always honored. It just depends on the reason and if there is availability in another class.
Great, thank you. What are summer assignments, and when did freshmen receive this information? Summer assignments weren't for the freshmen. They were for predominantly our AP students, and those are usually our juniors and seniors that are taking the advanced placement courses. To answer that question, how can we get to our classes if we don't know the Google Classroom code? Again, there will be a course catalog for Google Classrooms that will be posted on the app, as well as emailed and posted on the website. So once that is made live, you will receive an email with all the Google Classroom codes for all the classes being offered. Can sports meet at least for training?
So again, that will be a Board of Education decision whether that will be allowed or not.
What updates are being made in the school so students can return safely? You can refer to Dr. Irving's return to school plan. I think ideally the plan and all the initiatives that were being undertaken were spelled out in there. So I don't know the specifics that they're necessarily looking for. Should we leave old class we took last year on Google Classroom? No, that's a good question. The last year's schedule for Google Classroom right now is obsolete. So feel free to remove yourself or disenroll from that. Or actually, you could just leave it and join a new class because the teacher may just reset that classroom as well. How many students do you anticipate attending the high school this year? Do you see an uptick due to the pandemic? Is that question in terms of enrollment, overall enrollment, or is it if we were to return? I'm a little bit confused about that question. I mean, enrollment is pretty much similar to what it has been. Yes, overall enrollment. Similar to what it has been, to the ebbs and the flows of enrollment in the district. There is a lot of new construction in Teaneck, which is definitely affecting the enrollment through not only the high school, but through many of the schools. So many of those condos and projects that are being built are attracting families to the district. So I think that there definitely is an uptick in enrollment across the district. Can I say that is due to the pandemic? I'm not certain as to the reasoning why. All right. When we get our textbooks, that information is forthcoming, Samara. Again, you will be informed, and it will be a sort of a la carte buffet style that you would come in, take your books for your classes, and then exit out the other door. No, we get our textbook, answered that. Why is this repeating? How can I get my working papers signed by school? You feel free to just stop up, ring the doorbell. We're here from 8 to 2. You can leave it with the secretary if I'm not available, and I will sign them and return them, but usually I'm here and we will sign your working papers. Yes, so that same question, working papers. Working papers. I'm glad all you guys are getting jobs. That is a great thing. Beautiful. So we have successfully answered 115 questions. I thank not only the panel for joining me. I saw Ms. Williams, the Board of Education Vice President, joined us. Ms. Jimenez Johnson was online for a bit as well. I'm not sure if she's still there. If you guys wish to say something, just, I don't know, send me a chat. Samara, Ms. Mack, Samara says hi.
Hi, Samara. Miss you.
All right. So thanks again for everybody for joining me, especially Mr. Murphy, Ms. Mack, Ms. Golden Cooper. I'm looking forward to this year. Again, it's going to be different. It's going to be nothing like we've seen before, but I promise you that we are committed to making it the best that we can make it. We are shoulder to shoulder, and we are going to advocate not only for your student success, but for each other's success. You know, I preach family, I preach togetherness, I preach forging real relationships and honest, true relationships. So I have charged the teachers yesterday in yesterday's staff meeting that that's their first line of duty, is to make sure that they charge, they establish those real relationships. And then with the new teacher orientation, that was the same conversation that I had with them today. We have a great team that has been added to the Teaneck High School family, and I think it's only going to be stronger with those new additions. So feel free to contact any of us, myself. Oh, I have to share that screen. I'll go out with that shared screen of the contact information of the admin. But again, I look forward to a successful year. Thank you so much for joining us. Have a great evening. Stay safe, and until we meet again or see each other again. Thank you. I'll share the screen right now. Thank you all. Have a great evening. Rest. I will see you very soon. Thank you for sacrificing your time and joining me. So I appreciate you immensely.
Have a good night, everyone.
Have a good night.
Good night, everyone.
And thank you, man behind the curtain.
Yes.
Yes.
Good night. Be well. Good night.